You ever have conversations and you bring up a topic or someone else bring up a topic and it's like a one word or a one phrase and you know it's time to end the conversation. Something like that I want to talk about today. And what I'm thinking is like, I want to talk about this as far as just being aware, not for like any type of control or listen to me, but to get people to think for themselves, however it is, even if it's totally different from the way I'm thinking. And the situation here is when I'm talking to someone and they say, oh, it's manipulation, or, oh, they're such a nice person, or it's just control. It's nothing. Oh, it's just this, or it's just that, in a way where the conversation now needs to be shut down, not realizing that you're talking about not the person, not attacking the person, not belittling the person, but talking about a situation that the person may have been involved in, or you have encountered and it involved that person, blah, blah, blah. You know, there has been times and situations they was like, well, who is the person? And I'm like, that doesn't matter. I'm talking about the situation. And so it's good when someone shuts you down, when it's like, oh, they're such a nice person, or think that's the main one, right? And it's like, in a way, immediately I'm saying to myself, that's good, because I know I cannot have this conversation with the person I'm trying to have the conversation with about the situation, because they're focused on the niceness of the person. But my intent when I bring something up is not to get shut down by those one word, one phrase, or a diagnosis or a disease, that they can come up with that is related to the situation. And my main goal is to name the situation, call it out, talk about it directly for what it is. Exactly. All right. So that's where I'm going today. And so what comes back is saying about describing emotional invalidation in conversational shutdowns. So my goal is to name the behavior clearly, add some research to it, and invite real thinking rather than control anyone. Right? So when people answer with, it's just manipulation, and I'm reading here from what I typed in, it's just manipulation, they're so nice, or you're overthinking it, they are often dismissing your perception and feelings instead of engaging the facts. This is called emotional invalidation, rejecting or minimizing someone's thoughts or emotions. Using a conversation stopper so the issue does not need to be examined, which blocks critical thinking and honest dialogue. I face this so much. And this is such a meaningful paragraph to me. When others use a conversation stopper. So the issue don't need to be examined. Nobody can have critical thinking. You can't have an honest dialogue, which is good because then those are the people that you don't need to be talking to about it anyway. So thanks for weaning yourself out, or me, if it comes to me, weaning myself out. Like, I'm not the one you need to talk to. It can go both ways, any kind of way, right? And so I'm talking about, in this case, for me, when I have that conversation, and I just pay attention to when someone is weaning themselves out from the conversation, whether they are management, whether they are doctors, whether they are lawyers, whether they are nurses, whether they are someone in charge that make decisions. Once they cut the conversation off by saying these little things, you're overthinking it. They're so nice, such nice people, but they don't want to deal with critical thinking or any type of honest dialogue that deals with the situation that involves coming up with a better solution, or a situation that can be talked about so things can be better, things of that nature. So going back to reading, your intent, awareness, not control. Your approach, naming exactly what was said, what was done and felt, then adding research or case studies. Lines up with assertive communication, not manipulation. Assertive communication is about clearly expressing thoughts, feelings, and needs while respecting others' rights. Grounding the situation in specific words, actions, and evidence helps people distinguish between this is uncomfortable and this is actually unsafe or manipulative. So how to call it out clearly? Using structures like observations. When X said blah, 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 and then did blah, 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 that's what I'm pointing to. Not the person, not that human body that is walking around, but when they said, when they did, when I said, when I did, and that's what I'm pointing to. This focuses on concrete being observation, facts, rather than labeling a person. Another one besides observations is when, I, because. When they say, if you love me, you do this. I see that as a pressure because it ties love to compliance, which is a common manipulative tactic. The next one is I statements. I'm not trying to control the narrative. I'm trying to understand patterns of behavior and their impact. Using I language reduces defensiveness while staying firm. Boundary lines when they shut you down. So you already notice, okay, I can't have this conversation with you, which is a healthy boundary. You can make that boundary explicit. When the response is, it's nothing, or they're just nice, they're so nice, I feel shut down, and it tells me this isn't a conversation you want to have, and I'll leave it there. Another one, if we can't look at specific behaviors, then we're not really talking about the situation. So I'll stop there. This protects your energy and keeps you out of circular debates. When they want to stop because of the individual they protect by they so nice, then, for example, I stop because I know this conversation is not going to go anywhere to get to the root of the situation, thinking I, for example, may be attacking the person or saying that the person is not so nice. Bringing in research without preaching. Since you want people to think for themselves, you can frame research as an invitation, not a verdict. There are studies and case examples where patterns like this are labeled emotional manipulation. If you're interested, we could look at some of those together. I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'm saying these behaviors match what experts call gaslighting, control tactics, and that's why I'm naming it. So doing this helps to keep you aligned with your mission, raising awareness, naming what's really happening, and leaving the other person free to accept, reject, or revisit it later. All right.